Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Reviews That Don't Matter What Jessica Hit. My name is Jessica and today we are talking the finale, the penultimate episode of Westworld. Finally, I finished it. And I know I'm a day late, but you know what? I got caught up watching that and then I ended up watching Big Little Lies all day and I finished it and gee, that is a hell of a show. So the last two episodes of Westworld were insane. Westworld is a show that I just cannot predict anything that's gonna happen. At all. And by the way, this entire review is going to be spoilers, so please, if you have not seen Westworld and plan on seeing it, don't watch this one. Watch my old review where I don't even think I do any spoilers on that. It's just on the first 8 episodes. Like I was saying, this is a show that you just can't predict what's gonna happen at all, which I really appreciate in today's type of world where it's very kind of easy to predict movies and television because we've seen so many types of twists that nothing's really off the board. And in this world, with Westworld, they play really well with time. And it was something that I did not realize they were playing with through the entire series. Like, how about this? The biggest mind F I've ever experienced in any show, second only to finding out that Jeffrey Wright's Bernard is also a host and not an actual human, is finding out that we've been watching the show in 2 separate time periods, basically. William, the nice guy who's kind of fallen for Dolores, the host, played by Evan Rachel Wood. William's played by Jimmy Simpson, I believe. And he's one of those faces that you would recognize for sure, but you probably just don't know the name. He is the Man in Black from this entire time. From the opening of the series, that guy, played by Ed Harris, is William, but 35 years later. I found it out about 30 seconds before the show literally told us, and I was like, are you kidding me? I never would have guessed that was a thing. I thought this was all happening in the same kind of time. You know, they kind of played with time a little bit earlier on with things, but not being in 2 separate, completely different decades. My mind was blown. And you know, we probably should have figured it out once the young William character started just murdering all of these hosts and feeling super good about it. Especially considering his partner kind of, Ben Barnes' character, I think his name is Logan, was supposedly this more of this ruthless character, and he was really just oh my god, this guy's gone crazy. I could not believe that happened at all. I never would have guessed it. I think it was a great twist, and I think it worked really well, and it, the moment you realize that you've been watching this entire show, basically, well, half the show, in a different decade, you're just oh my god. Because you think that Dolores is having this for the first time, this sort of awakening. She's been having it for 35 years, basically. And I like what they did, too, to kind of show when Dolores was kind of in her mind more when she changed into the blue dress as opposed to the pant costume that she was wearing. That helped out a lot. And also to find out that Jeffrey Wright was also Arnold, and Dolores was responsible for killing Arnold because Arnold basically did an assisted suicide type thing to stop the park from opening because he found that the hosts were too real and he didn't want them to experience the fate of death and all of this stuff over and over again. I think that's what was happening. Even though by doing that, he had Dolores and Teddy murder all of the hosts. So I don't quite understand that part, especially considering the whole point is that you're supposed to be able to kill the host and then they can bring him back. And he realizes that after everything's done, he's like, it won't help, they'll just bring him back. So you have to kill me. And then they just covered it up as a suicide, which it kind of was a suicide, honestly. And then, you know, Anthony Hopkins decided to open the gates of Westworld. And here we are, 35 years later, and there's gonna be a mutiny because Dolores actually has her awakening. She finally has her conscious, her voice in her own head, which is just super trippy. It's becoming a little too real. This is exactly how the human race is going to die. This is exactly how. It's not a zombie apocalypse, it's not aliens coming here, it's not global warming, it's robots. It's robots. Like, let's be real, we are gonna be the masters of our own destruction, and Westworld is just telling the future. And you know what the worst part of this is I would still I would want to go to Westworld. It's kind of the same thing too as like, you know, if Jurassic World, like the park, was a legitimate thing where you can go and you can see all these dinosaurs, like a T-Rex and all of this stuff, I would be like, that's a disaster waiting to happen, but I'd still go, like 100%. And you know what? If I died at the park, it's my own damn fault. But something that's really cool is when Thandie Newton's Maeve is kind of escaping, and she has her two hosts that she's kind of awakened, and then she's got that tech guy that's been helping her out, really just terrified of her. I don't really know why he's helping her out so much. Anyway, she's doing her escape narrative, which is, we find out, is a narrative. And it's not just her going rogue, which is super trippy in itself, that like, most likely was Anthony Hopkins' character, I'm assuming, that wanted this to be going on at the same time as his retirement / murder, with all of the hosts going rogue, so that way the world, Westworld, does not open again. But anyway, they're going through everything, and they go into this part that is samurais fighting. So what I'm assuming is that Westworld's not the only park like this. They have different themed parks. They probably have, I'm assuming, like an ancient Chinese type of park. But I mean, there's so many logistics that I just really want to know. That's the thing about Westworld, I said this in my last review, is that I'm thinking of all of the logistics of this whole thing. It's like, well, this host is that host is that, like, there's a million different possibilities because they're with actual guests, and the guests can change the narrative, I'm assuming. So there's just like, this is so complicated, and I can completely understand why Delos, the company that basically owns Westworld, I can totally understand why they want to make the host simpler and the narrative simpler, because this is getting out of hand, and they know it is. And that's pretty obvious at the fact that Dolores goes rogue at the end, shoots Anthony Hopkins in the head, and fires into a crowd of all of the investors of Westworld. Like, and then you have all of the hosts that are there that are like demonstrating and stuff like that. They're kind of having their awakening and they're smiling. And then while all of that whole thing is happening with Dolores and the massacre in the town, you have the Man in Black, aka William, which we just found out, which my mind is still completely blown from. He is out like smoking, and we find out when he's talking to, I think, Anthony Hopkins' character, that his whole thing is that he wants the host to be able to fight back and hurt you and make it more realistic and make it like have actual consequences. Bad idea, completely bad idea. Like, it's already overstepping the boundaries, let's be real. Anyways, he finally gets what he wants, because all of those decommissioned hosts that they have that have either gone crazy or just they've used out of cycle, they want to make more, have been reprogrammed, and they're all charging at the town, which he's right in the middle of the giant host Armageddon thing in the town. He gets shot, he smiles because he's like, yeah, they can finally hurt me. So I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if he's gonna try to fight his way through this crowd of angry hosts, or if he's gonna back off, let him go through. I have no clue. I think it'd be a real shame if we lost Ed Harris's character, because we just found out this ginormous backstory that gives this depth that just doesn't make him a crazy lunatic. He's still a crazy lunatic, but he's not. You saw how he developed into it in a way, and how Westworld brought out this sort of animal instinct in him. And I also really enjoyed what they did with William when Logan had kind of said, this wasn't even about Dolores, you don't give two craps about her, do you? And then kind of a voiceover from the old Ed Harris character, the Man in Black, is saying, over watching him kind of come back to town, he sees that Dolores, who had just died, is back in rotation, and she drops the little can and some rando picks it up and she's smiling at him, and he realizes even more that it's a host and it's just, you know, and he even says he gets bored of Dolores, he goes on to other things, he does different narratives, he does the more difficult things, tries to figure out all of the secrets. And it's just like, imagine being him, who basically owns the park. He put so much money into it and basically saved him in their first couple years because he backed them so much. He comes in probably once a year, I'm assuming maybe even twice a year, and he sees the same host doing the same thing, or sometimes he sees them relocated to a different thing. He's like, oh, that's what they did. And it all becomes so fake in his mind, and it distorts it, and he becomes this ruthless savage in it, where he just murders them. You know, and that's what you see with with Maeve's character, Sandy Newton, and her daughter, where Sandy Newton's character became super hyper aware because she had the daughter, and her daughter was dying in her arms, and she freaked out so much her wires basically became crossed, and she just didn't know how to deal with it. And let's talk about Maeve for a second. Sandy Newton is fantastic. She's my favorite character in the entire show, and to find out that it was a narrative written into her code system, this escape narrative, is insane. Like, that is insane. And she's sitting on the train. You think that she might be able to break her loop like Dolores did, and she gets off at the last second because she's gonna go find her daughter and she's gonna stick in Westworld. Now, for the second season of Westworld, I think there's still I think it's still another year off, which just pisses me off because I think it premiered like 9 months ago, so it's already been almost a year. So it's a long time till we're gonna get the second season. But I want them to take their time and be able to craft a great 10-episode second season, because a lot of times shows that have really fantastic first seasons have a lesser second season. I want them to take their time to be able to figure out a plot that, I mean, where can they go from this? I mean, I'm assuming it's gonna be all-out war between hosts. They're gonna try murdering the guests in there, which is really sad because a lot of them are very innocent people just trying to have fun. There's kids in the freaking park. So it's going to be interesting to see where their boundaries are there. Are they just doing the investors and trying to take over? And I'm assuming they're going to bring in some sort of army corps to try to take them out, and it's just going to be like this battleground in Westworld. And then what's happening with the other worlds, if there are other worlds, which I'm assuming there are because they hinted at that, is the same thing happening in those? Is there, like, I don't know. I don't know. There's so much to wonder. And then we still don't know what's going on. By the way, the third Hemsworth brother is in this. I didn't know that. He plays Stubbs. Whatever his name. There's Luke, Chris, and Luke Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth, and Liam Hemsworth. Okay, Liam is the really hot one. Chris Hemsworth is Thor. Luke Hemsworth is the third one that less people know about, and he is in this, and that blew my mind too. Like, I was like, oh my god, that is Luke Hemsworth? Super hot, first of all. But he kind of got attacked by a Native American tribe that was out there and taken in when he wasn't able to voice control them. So I'm assuming that that's part of the new narrative that Anthony Hopkins revealed. Because he was trying to find this tracker that belonged to Elsie, who was strangled by Bernard's character when she kind of figured out that people were smuggling information, or trying to, out of Westworld. And we don't know if she's officially dead yet. We have not seen her death scene, and everyone knows if you've not seen a death screen or a death scene on the actual screen, like with your own eyes, the character's probably not dead. So I'm assuming that she might still be alive and he's being brought to her, and they're gonna be like captives or something like that. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that, but basically he gets ambushed and then we don't hear anything about it for the rest of the season. But what do you guys think? Are you guys as excited for season 2 as I am? Comment down below, like the video if you like it, subscribe. I do videos Monday, Wednesday / Thursday or Friday. On Friday, we're talking Game of Thrones and what's gonna happen this next season, where we left off, how much I love season 6. And then every Monday from now on, we're doing episodic reviews. So tune in on Monday for the review of episode 1 of season 7 of Game of Thrones. I'm very excited. It's finally here. Okay, well, I'll see you on Friday and then Monday. Woo. Bye.